Oh, I didn't even have my mic muted that whole time. What about that? Huh, guys? You guys heard me breathing and snoring over here the whole time? Probably not, because that music was really loud. But hello, everyone, and welcome to another show. This time, it's going to mostly be about The Mandalorian. So if you guys haven't seen the final episode, if you haven't seen any of the final episodes or any of the episodes at all, spoiler warning here. We're going to be talking full-on spoilers about The Mandalorian Season 2, the season finale, and all the episodes prior to it. We're going to do kind of like a full Season 2 review here of The Mandalorian Season 2. So I hope everybody is having a great weekend. First and foremost, let me go ahead and just throw it out to the co-hosts here. From Reality Skewed Gamers, we have RangerJ1999.
Hey, what's going on, brother? Sorry, I'm a little lethargic at the moment. I streamed the entire Mandalorian season on my Discord channel for all the skewers today, so I've been going at it for like 13 hours.
Yes, a lot of streaming. We also just streamed The Mandalorian on Discord to some of the skewers there too, so that was kind of cool. Got to see their reactions to the final episode there. Also joining us is the lovely and talented Avinash. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Great, excellent. And we're also joined by the wonderful Sir Loki.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you, Loki. And Gam is on a road trip tonight, so he's not going to be with us in the chat. Maybe he'll pop into the live stream, text chat at some point. I don't know, but he's not going to be on the show tonight. So hopefully he has some safe travels. I'm sure he'll be back next week. But, all right, let's dive right into it. So, we just got to watch it again. Well, at least I got to watch the second half of it. And I watched it now 3 times, the final episode anyway. Lot to talk about, a lot to unpack in that final episode, including a bonus scene. Again, this is going to be my final spoiler warning for anybody who hasn't seen The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 8, or Chapter 16 of the show, Rescue, and also the episodes prior to it, because we're going to be discussing kind of the whole season here in total. Let me throw it out to you guys. What do you guys think about it?
It was phenomenal.
Wow. It was like, wow. And it wasn't just the episode, it was the music. And I don't usually notice that, but it changed. And you knew that it was something different, that something different was going to happen or go on or end or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was literally, just on the edge of my seat the entire episode. I mean, it was just like literally awesomeness from start to finish. From the music to the duel between the Mando and Moff Gideon, to the Dark Troopers being activated. Really, from start to finish, the entire episode was action packed. I mean, it was like literally they had like a plan. I mean, there was all different elements in this episode. You had space battles. You had straight up like docking into an Imperial cruiser. You had trooper fights. You had one of those typical end of an episode or end of a movie trooper battles where like you'd see like Han and Leia running through an Imperial installment and they're fighting against troopers in the hallways. Kind of same thing going on with with the Mandalorians and with Jesus, what's her name again? Gia Karan's character. Jesus.
Cara Dune?
Cara Dune, exactly. So, I mean, everything great. Obviously, the ending really pulled at my heartstrings and also just pretty much gave me a glimpse into everything I've ever wanted to see in the new Disney Star Wars, and we'll get into that in a moment. But overall, very fantastic. What did you think, Loki?
It's Man, I've watched it several times and it never gets old for me right now. You start just, I want to watch it over and over again and pick up all those details that you just mentioned. And it's just amazing how they crammed it all into like 40 minutes, of an episode. Really good. There's really not much more I can add to what you already said. It went from trooper fights to, ship battles. You had the fight between Gideon and Mando, which we really wanted to see. And then you had Luke come in, wreck all the dark troopers. And you had you had all the women. You had the you had Fennec, you had Cara Dune, Bo-Katan, and everybody just everybody meshed together. I was a little bummed that Boba maybe took off a little too early, but hey, that was his role in that episode, was to run that interference like that and then take off. And then maybe TIE fighters also, went to go chase him. So, but overall, the episode was just done so well. I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah, yeah. Mike Yam says, finally got the Luke that I wanted since Return of the Jedi. Absolutely. So, yes, Luke Skywalker made his triumphant return here, and it was in style. I mean, he was silky smooth. It was like, he was like straight up like, it was like straight up like he was, it was like straight up like he had skills like out of the, like out of the Jedi Temple. Like, like he like trained, with Anakin. And, and that's something that we don't see typically in lightsaber fighting, in the more current timeline. You really see it more in like the Old Republic and like in the days of the Jedi Temple, because there was constant training in lightsaber fighting, and to see Luke out there all the things he was doing was just just so creative, things you just don't really see them doing in the movies. And it's just like, I'm going to reiterate, what I say all the time, but it's just like, man, they literally, why didn't we get this in a movie? Like, why am I seeing this on a Disney Plus TV show and not in the, and I'm not saying that it had to be Luke or anything, but even the choreography and the fighting, I feel like it was better in that one scene than in all three movies. I think that if you gave Filoni and Favreau the ability to decide what Rey and Kylo were going to do on that ship, it would have been cooler. I don't know.
I was just like total denial that, because we had talked about the possibility of Luke not being in it because we've already done the trilogy. Luke was already done, and that was kind of like. But at the same time, in the back of your mind, you're going, it could be him that shows up. And as soon as I saw the X-Wing, I'm like, oh, no. And then you see the one glove hand. No. I knew who it was, but at the same time, I kept denying that's who it was. But it was freaking awesome as he made his way through the ship.
Yeah. One of the things I saw on Reddit, very minor things. The people that were they were like, it's too fan servicey. And I think that this season there was fan service, but it was not fan service for the sake of fan service. It was for the story. The whole thing and it was perfectly reiterated right at the end of this episode in this season. The story was always about the Mando and his relationship with Grogu. And it was, and yeah, we had an appearance from Ahsoka. We had Bo-Katan in there, but it made sense that these characters were there and what they were doing and why he was interacting with them. Even Luke showing up made sense, right? And it was not an episode about Luke. It was about the Mando and Grogu and everything that evolves around them. And it was no more reiterated than that last scene when Grogu touches his face. You see the emotion there, that what these two characters have gone through and the relationship that has built and how hard it was for Grogu to want to leave him. And it was so brilliantly done. And that's what Filoni has always done. He's always done things like this and showed characters that you don't see again for a while. Then they pop in and you're like, oh yeah, you slippery bastard. I didn't think about that. Stuff like that. I mean, it's just such a really good season. I mean, the only one that was okay. It was more of a horror one was episode 2, but all the other ones were just fantastic. I mean, the characters are there to serve the purpose of the story, and the tie-in with Bo-Katan now with Mandalore, and with now the Mandalorian, and what that's going to all entail. It was just really great storytelling. It was perfect for Luke showing when he did. It made sense to the story, and to see Luke just. It was these attention to details, like the fight with Mandor and you pay attention and look at it again if you didn't catch it. The fight between Mandor and Moff Gideon, when that Darksaber touches his Beskar, that spear, you see it heating up. You see the saber starting to, heat that sucker up, and I was like, God damn! I mean, that's the kind of attention to detail that you really want to see, and they did it brilliantly throughout this.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was thoroughly impressed. I really can't say enough about this. I mean, everything from start to finish about this entire season. First of all, this season way better than the first season. Anybody who says differently, you're nuts. Okay, way better. And
I'm not, because I think they're on par. There's such good shit out of the first season and such good shit out of the second season. I think they're tied for me. I mean,
this is possibly the best piece of Star Wars work I've ever seen. Period. Okay, I'm saying like literally everything that, I mean, I don't even know, like, what I'm saying is that I didn't even know that this was possible. Okay, like I was thinking to myself, like everything that they've done to this point has been to like not give us what we want, right? Like it's almost like just to drip feed us what we really want. He has done what we want in this season in like overload. Okay, it's like literally like, I mean, like we got live action Ahsoka, we got Bo-Katan, we got Boba Fett come back, and we got live action Luke Skywalker from right after Return of the Jedi with R2-D2. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Filoni does that. He fixes. So one of the things that complains about Boba Fett is if you didn't read the books, you didn't know how much of a badass he was. If you'd only watched the movies, you're like, what's so great about Boba Fett, right? He's cool. He looks cool, right? But always people are like, yeah, but he died in the Sarlacc. You saw why Boba Fett was a badass and all the shit he did in this season, especially when he had that gaffy stick. It just was, I mean, the things he did to the stormtroopers was just not human. I mean, he just, oh my God. The continuation of Ahsoka and her journey, and tying back into Rebels, and then the bringing of Luke. I mean, fixing where, it's just that wink that Filoni does, and, that little nod and wink to the fans, like, I got you. I got this. I know what needs to be done. I'll fix it. No matter what, I'll make sure that it gets squared away. And he always does. I mean, he's such a goddamn master of it, because he understands really what's the best thing about Star Wars is the simplicity, but it's these characters and their stories and their journeys that really draw us in, and it's just, he's so goddamn good at it. I mean, Filoni is a goddamn master at this shit.
He's
really not only satisfying the fanboy or girl in all of us, but he's also creating his own fanboy fantasies and dreams come true in this. And to be able to do that, you have to, there's a lot of directors and producers out there who are good, but they sometimes just kind of miss the mark, but he's got the talent. He's got the gift to be able to do this, and specifically for Star Wars, to be able to bring to light what all of us, including himself, want to see on the screen.
I am like, so, like, I mean, like I said, I mean, to see the way they've handled all the content over the years since Disney's taken over has been like, I mean, like, just like we don't get anything. Like, I mean, we get like just a little bit, like in the Clone Wars, they'll give us like a little bit, or in Rebels, they'll give us just like, here's Ahsoka.
No, I'm going to push back on that. Season 7 of Rebel or Clone Wars was ridiculously good.
I'm not saying it's not good. I'm saying it's great, but I'm saying it's still. But they don't give us like. I mean, Boba Fett became a regular character on the show this season. It's ridiculous how how meta they went this. I mean, it's like they literally gave us everything you could have. If that was a fanfic where somebody was like, oh, Boba Fett's going to come back. He's going to hang out with the Mandalorian. At the end, Luke Skywalker's going to show up and pick up Grogu. And Ahsoka's going to be in the season, live action, and beat the crap out of people with her lightsabers. I would have said, there's no way that all those things are happening. You're crazy. And it did.
Well, but in Rebels, like, whoever would have thought that Ahsoka and Darth Vader would have fought each other, or Obi-Wan would have finally had his final fight with Darth Maul. I mean, that's what Filoni does. He knows how to tell stories and do stuff, and then end it in a way where you're just like, God damn it, only Filoni could pull some shit off like that.
Right.
You know, and he's done it time and time again. I mean, if you've not seen the Ahsoka Darth Maul fight in Clone Wars season 7, I don't know what to tell you. It is unbelievable. One of the best fight scenes I have ever seen. It is so ridiculously good. Oh my God, that fight scene was ridiculous.
What I will say is that this shows that they have given the keys to Filoni 100%.
Don't forget about John Favreau.
John Favreau.
He's really good. The combination of both of them.
What I'm saying is the fact that they let him bring back Luke means that they have like completely said, here, you're doing the right thing. I mean, they literally they let him bring back Boba Fett and Luke. Lucasfilm Story Group wouldn't have done that unless it was like, I mean, like, just, I don't know who decides that, like whether it's Filoni or Kathleen Kennedy, or they have to like ask somebody else for permission.
It's those two, and they wrote a lot of this shit together. John Favreau, he's written a lot of the episodes, and Filoni's been there doing the same thing too, and directing, and having other. I mean, you've had some crazy good directors on this as well, and it's shown. I mean, phenomenal directors, and you know, it's just so good. I mean, the storytelling is just goddamn amazing. You know, it just it's so I'm excited. I'm excited for all the new series coming out. We're gonna get Ahsoka. We're gonna see what happens with her and Sabine and the search for Thrawn and Ezra. And then we're gonna have this Boba Fett story with the underworld. And if it's anything like it was in the books, I'm gonna be just Lady Bonering it up all over the place. We got the new Rangers of the Republic, which is going to be really badass. We've got the Obi-Wan story that's got Hayden Christensen coming back. I mean, come on, folks. Get the fuck out of here. And all the shit's, and a lot of this shit, not all of it, but they said a lot of this is going to have crossover. So I'm just like, get the hell out of here.
Well, yeah. I mean, you figure the Mandalorian, it ended the chapter. I mean, this is the chapter, and it ended with that. So, in a sense, if you think about it, the Mandalorian can mean other Mandalorians.
Yeah.
So maybe they were set.
I feel like this is
this was an end of a chapter
exactly,
in a book.
Yeah.
And then they're going to start the next book, which will be Boba Fett, and maybe
the next chapter.
The next chapter after that might be Bo-Katan. So it's going to pertain to, you know, if you figure the Mandalorian doesn't necessarily pertain to Mando, but other Mandalorians and their stories and chapters. And so this ended the chapter because Grogu's now off with a Jedi.
I mean, they could, and, you know, don't get me wrong. Okay, that, you know, I don't listen. Anybody who complains about fan service, by the way, go fuck yourself. Okay, there's nothing wrong with. We deserve a little bit of fan service at this point. Okay, after everything that's gone on, all right, we deserve a little bit of what we want. Okay, there's been a lot of what we didn't want that happened, and this is great. Okay, but what I'm saying is there is a possibility. Okay, because Filoni now, I mean, again, if he's able to do what he wants, like this. What says like 2-3 years from now, maybe after, you know, a little bit after the trilogy's over, you know, we don't peer back into the world between worlds and things change. Just saying.
I hate to tell you this, Ramon. I don't see the sequel trilogy going away, brother.
I'm just saying, I know what you're saying, and I think you're probably right, okay, but there is a chance that it may not go away. But maybe it could be an alternate timeline of like what happened.
They're not going to do that.
It's possible.
They were saying the same thing about the prequels, right? Like they wanted to change that after.
And they didn't.
Yeah, and they didn't.
Yeah.
I remember that. So.
I mean, do you feel like, you know, this, because between the change of the music And the way the episode had ended makes it feels like it was the end of that chapter. So what's going to be for season 3?
It's going to be, so the way I picture this going out is Boba Fett's going to be a separate story, right? So they've already said that it's going to be a separate. It's going to be it's a 1 season story of Boba Fett and what's her name that's with him, and
Ming-Na.
Yeah,
well, it's her name, Ming-Na. Yeah, I've always been I've been a fan of her for years.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's been amazing in a lot of stuff. But so that's going to be their story. But Mando's next part of his story is going to be his relationship with Bo-Katan, and then dealing with Mandalore. Maybe it's going to be bringing the clans together. What are they going to do about Mandalore, the planet, because it was just wiped out by the Empire. We still have the remnants of the Empire still out there, so he's going to be involved with that.
Yeah, they made it. Yeah, exactly. They made it sound like the fleet is there, right? That the whatever's left of the Empire fleet is near Mandalore. Like it's right there. It's parked like right outside the planet, right? You know, in this season, it was interesting. You know, we didn't think that the Empire still had a fleet, you know, and then they started saying, you know, we're going to meet up with the fleet. We're going to meet up, you know, jump to light speed when they were getting their cargo, their weapons cargo hijacked, right? When Bo-Katan and all them hijacked that cargo, and they said, we got to meet up with the fleet. It's the only way. So, I mean, they got a big fleet somewhere, and I think it's parked right outside Mandalore, you know?
Yeah, because they kept hinting, you know, we will be great again.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be his evolve. It's going to be developing it's going to be developing more of the Mando mythos, more about the Darksaber. It's going to start, you know, that culture, and they could do a lot of fun stuff with the Mandalorians and just that whole. That'll be season 3, and I think it would be perfect. And then Ahsoka's going to have her story, and it's going to tie it right into the end of Rebels, the ending of Rebels, right, where you see Sabine and Ahsoka get in on that ship, and they're going to go look for Ezra and Thrawn. Now that she's got her information, I think that ties into that, and we're going to get all that wonderful juiciness with that shit. I can't wait for the Obi-Wan series because I don't know what they're going to do with that. And we know he's going to be on Tatooine, but what's he going to be doing on? I don't know. I'm excited, and then the Rangers of the Republic can be whatever they want it to be. You know, I mean, I'm excited to see what they do with that. And it gives them an opportunity to go in different directions because this universe and this galaxy is so big that they can do so many different things with so many different storylines that, you know, bring it on. And sequels will be the sequels, right? And they can do stories before and they can do stories after and all kinds of different stuff. The galaxy is so big that there's lots of other stuff that they can cover.
Mm-hmm.
N.R. Wilson brings up a good point. Yeah, they have a theme park in it, so they're probably not going to wipe out the sequel.
Oh, they're getting rid of BB-8. They ain't getting rid of that.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. But I mean, so Ronan, what's going on? What else? Nightmare, N.R. Wilson, what's up? Jedi Training Bogus, what's going on? Just want to say hi to everybody. Mike Yench, Breris, what else? What's up? Ray Rock, what's going on? Yeah, sorry if I missed anybody, but what did you guys think about the fact that that we didn't get to see? We only saw Greef Karga one time this season.
That's okay. He actually directed that episode.
He directed that episode?
Yeah, Carl Weathers did.
Yeah. Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah. We got a Star Wars show developed by Dylan.
So he's not so Greef isn't really part of that bounty hunter guild anymore, right?
No, he's become the
he's like the mayor of the town, right?
No, he's like the governor of the planet now.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and Carr's become like a official marshal for the Republic.
Right.
And then Nightmare asked a good question in chat. He says at some point we will have to find out who smuggled Baby Yoda out of the Coruscant. Do you think Grogu knows exactly who it was, or will they reveal this in a flashback? I think it's going to be a flashback. Eventually, we will get that. Now, remember in the comics, the Vader comics, you saw one of the Jedis that got away was the librarian. She actually got away. Now she had to go back for something once she had been gone for a little bit, and then Vader had to confront her. So that was just an example of some of the Jedi that did get out of the temple. I don't know what they're going to use for which Jedi or who got him out. He's kind of suppressing that. Who wouldn't?
Oh, well, yeah, it's a great teaser because, you know, we're all curious now how he managed to escape.
Yeah.
Speaking of Grogu real quick, I mean, this has been hinted throughout the whole season too, is, you know, the doctor that was doing whatever they're doing, experimenting on him. I mean, they identified him as a clone doctor, right? So, I mean, I'm curious to see, you know, they were taking blood from him, I guess, in season 1, right? And they took as much as they can without killing him, right?
Yeah.
And then Mando busted him out, and then, you know, that was when Greef was attacking Mando and all that. And then they find out again, you know, they go to that Imperial base where there's a clone factory there, right? Like you know, you had those bodies.
Yeah, that one body
suspense.
was that early Snoke? I could not tell. I looked.
We don't
at
know.
it
Yeah,
eyes,
exactly.
I could not tell what that was.
So the problem. Well, I mean, one of the issues with the show right now is we all know that the New Republic, you know, Kim's convenience store, the dude, that whole rebel or New Rebel Republic, whatever, that eventually becomes the Resistance, right? And then this new empire with Gideon and possibly Thrawn and possibly the Clone Doctor and all that, that becomes First Order, right? So I'm curious if they go into season 3, season 4, season 5, do we start seeing the Mandalorian, you know, go through the timeline, and you start seeing the development of the Resistance and the First Order, you know?
Probably.
And that's what I'm kind of feeling was, you know, okay, they mentioned the clone thing. We all know Palpatine's a clone. The Empire likes to clone Palpatine and clone whoever. So I'm just curious to see where it all leads to, you know, and why they needed Grogu in the first place.
But the Empire, the Empire doesn't know that Palpatine survived. The Empire, it was the Sith Eternal cult that saved Palpatine. So, I mean, well, actually, we don't know that. I mean, they could have all been working together, but.
Well, they said something like in episode 7, right? They said the First Order was born from the ashes of the Empire, right? Like that was all said at that village. You know, when Finn became, you know, Wilson Finn and put the red hand on his face and all that. But you know, that's all foreshadowing to, yeah, the Empire had roots into the First Order, and this is it. You know, this is the last ditch effort, right, into making a government to control the entire galaxy, right? So.
Yeah,
I'm just curious about that.
Shout out to Master Kylo, by the way, the best Star Wars Galaxy Heroes player in the galaxy, according to him.
Oh, well, okay.
But he doesn't have the fastest Darth Revan in SWGOH, so
he's
got a long way to go.
I know, Loki. That's you, Mr. 360.
I do have the fastest Darth Revan in all of SWGOH, so not bragging, but
that's pretty.
It's fact. You know.
That's a fact.
That's fact. That's a fact.
I
can probably take that mod set and get any of my characters the fastest in SWGOH, which is pretty fun. So.
N.R. Wilson says, I wouldn't want them to remove the sequel trilogy because he named his daughter Rey. Well, I mean, that honestly, Rey is not a bad. There's nothing wrong with Rey or Kylo or anything like that. I just kind of feel like if there was one thing I could say about the sequel trilogy that just takes me off, it's what we discussed earlier. It's just the handling of Luke, really. Anything else I could probably deal with. And honestly, even at the end, like if they had just brought Luke and maybe Hayden Christensen back to be there with Rey to take down Palpatine as like a Force ghost, that would have probably...
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yep.
That would have probably solved everything for me. I don't think that you go through Luke and Anakin to have Rey be the one that takes the Sith down. You know, that's all I'm saying. But I mean, it should have been a team effort. You know, it should have been Yoda, all of them standing behind Rey, like putting their... I mean, especially since I'm also not a fan of movies or shows showing you something to not pay it off later on. Like, I mean, like, for example, like Game of Thrones showing you that you can time travel, essentially, to never using it again in the entire series, right? Like, why would you make me see that you can go back and change time with Bran, but he never uses it again? Why would you show that Force ghosts can do things? Like, I mean, Luke literally grabs a lightsaber in midair and catches it, you know, and Yoda shoots a bolt of lightning from the sky, and then you never show that, you know, and I mean, obviously that kind of change. I mean, that kind of makes us wonder why Force ghosts haven't been involved physically in the history of Star Wars. But, you know, then you wonder to yourself, like, okay, so they're doing that because they're going to show us that maybe in the final episode or the final showdown with Palpatine, they're going to all come and help Rey do something there, and that would.
Well, it didn't happen. It didn't happen, so we can move on and continue on with the Mandalorian.
Yeah, Mandalorian, much better.
Anyway, yes, you're right. So, like Ranger was saying, I am so excited about what's going on with Star Wars right now. Okay, I'm saying, like, you know, there is the buzz around Star Wars for me now, like, after feeling deflated at the end of last year, I now feel rejuvenated. Okay, I now feel like very excited about the Ahsoka show, very excited about the Obi-Wan show. I'm very excited about the Rogue Squadron movie. I'm very excited about, you know, the possibility of them tying like Boba Fett and Mandalorian and the Ahsoka show together to make like this one, you know, like kind of, you know, show universe like they did with like maybe Arrow and like those, you know, CW shows where maybe like they could all like cross over and like tie in together. That would be really awesome. And I'd imagine that if they allow Filoni to kind of do the same thing that like maybe like Feige's doing for Marvel, and they let him kind of run all three of those shows, or at least have creative input on all three of those shows, then it'll probably be really good. Because I feel like anything that he touches and that he is a part of, it goes the right way because he makes sure that it's done correct. Like, you know, like I can just see from the way that Rosario Dawson was directed to be Ahsoka that he sat there with her and told her every little nook and cranny of what Ahsoka needs to be on screen. And
that just, I take it. I'm sorry, my mind went elsewhere when you were talking about every nook and cranny. So,
well, but if you watch Rosario Dawson's performance, you can tell she really studied that performance.
Yeah.
From the show, the little ways she would sneer or move or stand, and it was that's what made it so good.
Yeah, and her fighting stance too, the way that Ahsoka would kind of lean over a little bit, you know, kind of set herself ready for the fight. Yeah, every little nuance there was good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like, you know, just the looks on her face when she was talking to Grogu and like how she was like calm and the way she acted. It's not like Rosario Dawson would act. It was exactly like Ahsoka would act, and it was very, very good. I mean, I just feel like, you know, he did a good job, and he directed that episode, of course. So I mean, I think that it was done very well, and I have total faith in this guy. And you know, I've wondered what he's going to do in Rebels. You know, I wondered what he was going to do with, you know, the final season of the Clone Wars, and I've wondered what he was going to do with this show, and every single time he comes through. So I mean,
well, he knows how to. He knows him and between Filoni and Favreau. I can't say his name. Jen Favreau. They're masters of just not just the cool fight scenes and stuff that we want to see, but adding the emotion behind it. Right, you feel the fight because there's so much emotions that's tied to it. Right, not all the fights, but the ones that matter. You feel that emotional tug, and they have those emotional moments that you need. Right, I mean, for instance, the interaction between Ahsoka and Rex in Clone Wars is an example of that kind of thing, or the interaction between Ahsoka and Maul. You saw that kind of the emotion involved with the fights and the things that happened, and that's what just makes it so good. It's not just fighting just to be fighting. There's purpose behind what they're doing and stuff, and there's meaning behind, you know, what's happening there, and they're both so good at doing that, because people forget that he was the one that brought back the Marvel Universe. I mean, he directed the first Iron Man, and that movie is one of my favorite Marvel movies.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. I mean, the way they choreographized, like, or the choreography for Luke Skywalker scene when they came back, and this, I mean, just, I'm telling you, like, from the music to him walking in, like, just the music, hearing in the background with Baby Yoda, like, touching the little screen, you know it's Luke.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? It's like you're sitting there. I had a full erection the entire time, just popping through my pants. It was absolutely unreal. You know what I'm saying? And it was fantastic, and I felt every part of it. I was like in shock the entire time it was happening, and I was like, oh my God, they actually did this, you know? And when Luke's X-wing shows up, the music, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, the music was just so awesome in that.
So
And I don't
epic.
notice music normally. It's usually just kind of background. But in that particular episode, the music really stood out and it was perfect in every aspect. The troopers, when the music for that and the sound that was in the music itself pertaining to the troopers was just awesome. And then, it was like the fight between the trooper and Mando, and that trooper was like beating the crap out of his helmet. And I was like,
well, it was beating him so hard, he's smashing his head into the wall and bending the wall.
And that Beskar, I was going, please, Beskar, please hold up, please hold up, please hold up. And then you see Luke come in, and he's like, slice, 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 slice. They're gone. While everybody, Mando was having such a hard time with just one.
It's absolutely ridiculous. The smoothness. I mean, he's just like sitting there. I mean, like, he was doing things that you probably would have to watch it 3 or 4 times to even notice. I mean, he's like sitting there like, like when he shoves that like block up against the Dark Troopers, like squishing him. You know what I mean? And then he's like, I mean, it was like, he's just like literally just walking. It was like the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen.
This was so the Luke that we should have gotten all along, that we wanted to see. This was at the prime of his Jedi knighthood, right there.
He's a master now.
Yeah,
he's a Jedi master now.
I mean, if you had any doubts, like who that was, like when you saw the way he was fighting, that there's nobody that's that good. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just very few Jedi that have ever been that good. You know what I'm saying? So it was like...
You know what, man? I hate to say it, but there was a part of me that I didn't think it was Luke, honestly. Yeah. I really wanted it to be like Kyle Katarn, or I wanted them to bring another Jedi, because
or even Ezra.
So the reason why I say Kyle Katarn is because the Dark Troopers came from the Dark Forces, right? It came from that video game. The main character was Kyle Katarn. He was trained by Luke, right, as a Jedi. That's all lore. That's all the video game. And there was just a piece of me as a kid. I was like, man, I remember playing that game. It was so cool back then. And then seeing the Dark Trooper, seeing that. I mean, I have the toys. They came out with the old Kenner, the 90s or the 80s, 90s. The 90s version of the expanded universe.
Power of the Force, I think it was.
Yeah, there was a piece of me that really wanted it, but I was saying it in the chat, and I said it on our streams on Wednesday. I said, once I saw the belt buckle, I was like, that's freaking Luke. There's no way it's not Luke, because Luke's got that freaking belt buckle, man. The saber, okay, yeah, I mean, I saw the control box on the front and then the glove and all that, but there was a part of me that wanted them to not take the quote-unquote easy way out.
Yes,
and I wanted them to bring another Jedi into the storyline, make him canon, because Kyle Katarn really isn't canon yet, and I want them to make him.
So they can go back to that. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what's going to happen moving forward. But they've got so many possibilities, and I mean, so many possibilities. It's head spinning to think of what 2021 and beyond is going to bring.
In many ways, I mean, I was really kind of surprised that they actually did bring Luke in. I was trying to figure out in my head who else would they bring in. And when I saw the X-Men, I'm like, no. It was, but no. And then I see him, and it's like, yes, but no. In my head, I was like kind of hoping it wasn't, but
it makes perfect sense, as Nightmare just brought up, and I agree. Luke was at that time really looking for Force sensitive people. Mm-hmm. And then same thing in the old EU books. He was doing the same thing at this time, so it made total sense. I mean, I didn't think they were going to go for Luke, but they did, and I'm glad that they did. I thought maybe they would go in a different direction, but it's fine. It would have been fine either way. I mean, if Ezra had showed up, I would have been like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Where are we gonna get that story? That would have just, but with Luke, and now it leaves Ahsoka and
it was just a little Grogu at the end. It was just,
oh my god, when R2 showed up, I mean, Jesus Christ.
It doesn't solve that mystery, right? So we still have that Ezra mystery to wonder about. So that's kind of interesting.
And that'll probably be like in one of the other shows,
I understand what Loki's saying as far as Kyle Katarn is concerned, and that would have been cool. But I think that they needed, especially with the state of Star Wars in general, to make a big impact here with this thing. And I think that, there's a bigger impact with it being Luke Skywalker than it being Kyle. Because, as cool as it would be to be Kyle, we would really appreciate that. But like, there's probably like 90% of the fan base that wouldn't know who that guy is, right? So it's like for the the people that they were trying to get back into Star Wars. I think that there's a lot of people that
it was a good choice. It was a great. It
resonated with a lot of people. I think that bringing Luke
yeah,
back,
everyone just went gaga when they saw Luke.
Oh yeah, I watched it as soon as it was streaming. I mean, it was like I had to watch it. And so I'm usually up late. My husband gets up early for work. So as soon as he got up, I'm like, you're going to have to watch it. And you're going to sit down. You're going to watch it before you go to work. Not only that, but you better take a box of Kleenex in there because you're going to cry. As I said, it's pretty emotional. And he's like, fudge buckets. So.
And R. Wilson, they could bring back Kyle in a different way. They don't have to use the exact same backstory.
They don't have to just
they could bring him back in another way and just change his backstory.
Yeah, there was a story where Luke and Luke trained him in one of the other, I don't know if it was Shadow of the Empires or whatever, but it was one of those books.
Well, there's Kip Durin, there's
there's a lot that they did in the.
I mean, there's a lot of characters. Jedi that we can get into, and again, there was the massacre in the sequel trilogy of the Jedi, but we don't know if that was all the Jedi because again, there could have been Jedi out doing lots of things, and so people are saying, "Well, too bad Grogu died in the temple." Like, well, you don't know that. We know a bunch of Jedi did die in the temple, but we don't. That doesn't mean that they were all killed and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, not all of them were in that temple. There's Jedi all over the place, and some of them probably got wind of something going on through the Force and thought, "Oh crap, I better get the hell out of here and go hide somewhere or lay low."
Yeah.
I totally think that we're getting back Sam Witwer at some point in live action. Also, I don't know if he's going to be Starkiller.
I don't know.
But I think he's too heavily involved in Star Wars to not eventually come back in some shape or form. I mean, he's probably on Dave Filoni's speed dial. You know what I mean? So I would say like at some point, that's too. They're into the video games, Favreau and Filoni. There's no way that that's not on their mind at some point.
They'll do it. They'll do it.
I don't know if he'll be a Star Killer, but I think maybe they'll change that story a little bit. But I think he'll come back at some point too.
Maybe they will. I mean, it's just a great time to be a Star Wars fan. Ewan McGregor coming back to reprise his role as Obi-Wan, and just all the good stuff that we have. I mean, how can you not be excited? It's so many good possibilities. It doesn't mean that it necessarily will be great. Maybe something falls short, but just the fact that we're getting it and there's the potential for greatness here, it's mind blowing. Like, I mean, it's like they just woke up over there and like, okay, we got to go a different direction, and this is the direction we're going to go. And I mean, they're hitting it out of the park. They really are. I mean, they really are just crushing it right now.
Yep. Well, and it helps to have true fans actually be involved with it instead of somebody who hasn't watched it, doesn't really care about it. But, it does like directing or producing elsewhere or even writing elsewhere, just doesn't quite have the same feel as somebody who
you go back. Yeah, that's a great point, Abby. Yeah, if you go back and you watch the directors, that roundtable they did, and you hear these people talking about Star Wars, they're all. I mean, and we're talking to people that have done like Watiti that did the Marvel movies, like Thor Ragnarok and all these. They're just kids talking about Star Wars and what it means to them, and you just see the passion behind. They treat it as a privilege. It just they're giddy. They're like small kids.
They're giddy. A small part of it. I mean, oh God, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, but this was for us. Okay, this was for those of us that wanted to see Luke do this. This was, I mean, they didn't just bring Luke back, okay? They brought Luke back and they made him kick the shit out of 20 Dark Troopers in 30 seconds, okay? They were like, okay, if any of you guys ever wanted to see Luke kick the shit out of somebody,
Well, they also did they did the parallel between Vader's scene in Rogue One, which is still my favorite Star Wars movie, but that scene with Vader in the hallway versus Luke in the hallway. And what it represented. Vader was all about, it was horror, right? Is a nightmare come to life. He is there just to get what he needs, and he's going to kill anything or anyone that gets in his way. He's not rescuing anybody. He's not trying to save anybody. He needs to get the data plans, and if you're in his way, well, you're going to die, and you're going to die horribly. And he slaughtered all those people trying to do it. Luke, on the other hand, shows up, and his only purpose is, I've got to save these people. I've got to get the Grogu, right? And to see the dynamics and the way those two hallway scenes play out. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I only Filoni and those guys would know to do a scene like that with the hallway, with the different types of troopers in the hallway.
It was such a callback. It was so great.
Yeah, so good. Like father, like son, but the same, but so different in its representation and stuff. And that's just the shit that they do that is just so goddamn good that I just enjoy immensely.
You know what else was cool was the Jin and or the Din Djarin scene and Grogu. So I mean, I think that it was masterfully done the way they did it. I think that the music, the emotion of him walking away with R2 coming out at the end, and then Luke like grabbing him and Luke like explaining like, hey, listen, he's just looking for you to give him approval to do this, and it's like he immediately trusted Luke. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't know this guy from a hole in the wall, but he knows that Grogu trusts this guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like and
he knew he had to let go. Yeah.
And it was like, and it's like, I mean, I got such like Spielberg E.T. vibes from that last scene. Like, I mean, like even him going up in the elevator was like the last scene of E.T. going into the elevator, and saying goodbye to Elliot, at the end of E.T. I mean, that's kind of what I got. Like, it was like, I feel like there were some callbacks there to E.T. at the end of that thing, especially, I mean, obviously, Grogu doesn't look like E.T., but I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, they're both, like, it was kind of like, I mean, he was, like, looking over the shoulder.
To the fields. It absolutely, yeah. It didn't even have to have really any words. I mean, it was just all, it was all physical and looks.
Well,
and
that puppet is such a goddamn masterpiece. I remember one of the funniest things that I love from this season is when I think it was episode 4 where they're flying against the TIE fighters. Grogu's got the cookies, and he's sitting there, and Mando's doing all those turns and whirls and all that stuff, and Grogu's just with his hands up in the air, waving around like he just don't care, just crying and screaming and giggling like he's just having the best time as they're upside down. He's like, wee! And
his ears flopping and breathing.
His ears going all over the place, and then it's so funny at the end there. He just looks at him like, "You all right?" Throws up the cookies. Like, he loved it, but it's like a roller coaster ride. I mean, there's so many of those little subtle little gestures and looks, and the relationship between Grogu and Mando just works on so many different levels. Grogu changed Mando from being a bounty hunter to being something higher, to be something more than what he was, right?
And even got him to remove his helmet in public.
Yeah, he's made him think about things differently, and to do things differently and to open up his possibilities. I mean, he's been introduced to all this crazy stuff that's making him rethink, and they both grew together as individuals. I mean, that's what's so great about this story too. I mean, the character development for both of these characters was just phenomenal, and it just was little bits and pieces that evolved on. You just saw between the relationship that they was causing them to both grow as individuals, and it's just so good. I cannot sing this shit, the praises of this show, both seasons, to high heaven.
And just to kind of touch on the whole Jedi code and the Force Crush thing, just to give you some perspective, I listened to Filoni explain like his thoughts on the original trilogy and like the meaning of all of it and everything, and I think one thing that he said that kind of stuck with me is that so that scene where Qui-Gon is fighting Darth Maul and Duel of the Fates at the end of episode 1 is basically like
they're fighting for like the balance of the galaxy essentially, because Qui-Gon is not a part of the Jedi Order, right? Like he's not a part of the Jedi Council. Sorry, and the reason for that is because Qui-Gon is kind of ahead of the curve in knowing that the Jedi have kind of fallen out of their way, and that they've become more of like a police for the galaxy rather than a group of monks that are keeping balance in the Force. Okay, and that's what their destiny is, right? And they became more of like an army or like a military rather than.
Well, so I can answer this question about the Force.
Yeah.
The Force in the original adaptation from the Jedi tradition, the Force is universal. It's not dark side or light side. It's what you do with it that leads you down that path. For instance, Plo Koon used Force lightning. He is a Jedi, but it's a difference between using Force crush on something out of anger or hatred, or using Force lightning out of anger or hatred or to dominate, than it is to say, like Plo Koon used it to save a little girl's life. And he looked and said, how can that be evil when I used it to save someone's life? I didn't use it like, a Sith would use it to dominate and destroy. I used it as protection. So it's how you use the Force abilities. And then that taps into the positive or negative side, because it's really the person that channels what they're doing, and it causes that negativity or positivity in them. The problem is that once the split happened, the Jedi went way too far to the left side. The Bendu even said that to in Rebels. He said it to Kanan, like, you are who are you? You're like a light side storm just sticking out, causing this plane to go bananas because you're so onto the light side, and explaining that the Force is about balance, right? So if you use Force Crush and you use it to out of anger, or you're just using it to be a piece of shit and you just use it to kill someone, yeah, that's dark side. You're gonna start leaning toward the dark side. But if you use it to say crush something that's about to fall on somebody, well, that's different, right? So it's how you use it, So that's where you get which path you're really following.
I agree, and one of the other things he says is that basically they're fighting for the like Qui-Gon has to survive that battle in order to be able to train Anakin, because he knows that he's the right master for Anakin. Okay, because he's basically, of that mindset that he understands. Like Qui-Gon's not a part of the council because he understands attachment, and understands falling in love with somebody, and he's not somebody who agrees with them and their ideals sometimes. Okay, and
they became too dogmatic.
So he wanted to survive that battle so that he could train Anakin. Okay, and he knows that if Obi-Wan is the one that trains Anakin, Obi-Wan ended up becoming not like a father to Anakin. He became more of like a brother to Anakin, basically. You know what I'm saying? And Anakin needed, more than anything, was a father figure, because he didn't have one, and his mother died. You know what I mean? So he wasn't there to kind of help Anakin get through those things. And Qui-Gon dying in that battle is basically what led to Anakin becoming Darth Vader eventually. You know what I'm saying? So, I just think it's interesting when you think about the whole, saga and how some of those things kind of unfolded. But yeah. I agree. It's all about how you use the ability. It's not about the ability itself. So I think that, like, as we wanted to see Luke become like more gray in the sequel trilogy, and they really didn't explain that much, but maybe we'll see that happen. It seemed like Kanan was really going in that direction in Rebels, right? Like
especially after his meeting with the Bendo, he was starting to see that, after he heard about the original teachings of the Jedi and Ashton Belkin, what it really meant, and and it's about balance, right? And it's about using the Force, like with any power, it's about maturity, right? It's about maturity and control. You're gonna have bad shit happen to you, right? I mean, for the Jedi to say that love should be outlawed, well, maybe romantic love, but even romantic love, you can't say that a master and apprentice, that there's not some love relationship there, because it's just someone you care about, right? I mean, so again, the Jedi became too dogmatic, and they became way too extreme on the other side, that they couldn't understand or see what Sidious was doing. Sidious not only was dark side, but he was doing some shit. They just were like, he's the master chess player. He was doing shit that they couldn't even comprehend because they were just so in their ways and they just could not adapt out of it. And that's why they were defeated. I mean, Sidious played their ass to a T.
Yoda,
he knew he could confront on, so he went the other route and did all this other stuff, and it was masterful.
Yeah, Yoda should have seen that coming. Yeah, I'm saying he should have seen.
He couldn't, and he didn't realize until the last minute, and it was too late, right? And that's when he started seeing the errors of the Jedi way. Once that everything had transpired, he's like, "All right, yeah," and he even says so to Ezra.
Yeah. All right, let's quickly, before we wrap up the stream, we're going to come into the end here. We're just going to ask some of the questions here that are in the chat, and then we're going to wrap. We're kind of running late. We started late because we were doing a watch party over in Discord. So if you have any more questions you want to ask, type them into the chat now. I'm going to scoop some of these up. So Nightmare is a question for Avinash. At what point were you 100% convinced it was Luke Skywalker, Abby?
100%. I'm going to say when the X-Wing came in, but at the same time, I'm going to say when he pulled the hood off at the same time. I mean, that was 100%. Before that, I was like, I knew it was him, but I can't explain it. I was kind of hoping it wasn't him, I guess, would be...
As soon as the X-Wing came in and they were like, "Oh, one X-Wing," I was like, "That's Luke Skywalker."
Oh, I knew it was.
Especially when they downplayed the X-Wing, they're like, "Just one X-Wing," I'm like, "All right, that's definitely
right."
Luke
Yeah, and it's like, oh my God, that's Luke. It's like, oh my God, that's Luke. And then you're watching him fight through there, and you know it's him. But at the back of my mind, it was like, please, in a sense, don't let it be him. Maybe somebody else. Or is it him? Maybe it's somebody else that's similar to Luke. Who knows?
Kind of like you. I was like in disbelief. Like
my
everything in my gut told me it is Luke, and then my mind said, "There's no way Filoni's doing this. There's no way he's actually going to bring Luke back."
That's what I'm trying to portray across, is that I knew it, but at the same time, disbelief. But I was glued to the screen. I mean, I was like, I couldn't keep my eyes off of it. I was trying to absorb every little detail aspect of it. The green lightsaber, the glove, and the whole bit was just, I knew it was him, but it was like, this is just too good to be true.
What about you guys? When did you guys know it was Luke?
Pretty once I saw the green lightsaber, I was pretty much in the black hoodie. I was like, Luke. X-Wing, Luke, come on, green saber, too much. And then once I saw the hand, I was like, yeah, it's done. Blue.
It's done. The hand, it's done.
I think it was the Force Crush for me. That was probably the number one, like the 100%. But like I said, the belt buckle gave it away for me, and then green lightsaber, the control box on the saber, and then the Force Crush was just, that was it. That was icing on the cake, I think, at that point.
Yeah. All right, question for the panel. Do you think that George Lucas watched the finale and was somewhere smiling afterwards from Nightmare?
I hope so. I really hope so. I hope that he believes that Filoni and Favreau did a really good job in portraying what he's been wanting all along. Because he's got this idea of what Star Wars is, and it's his baby from beginning to end. But I think that Filoni and Favreau just expanded on his ideas and gave it, in a sense, a different direction and a new outlook, and to be able to progress the way that it was and how popular it is. I think he's very happy with it.
Yeah, I think he's probably really happy with. I mean, he probably has had input on this entire series. He probably told them it was okay to bring Grogu into the show, and yeah, I would say he probably had a hand in some of the things that happened, so. Ronan asks, do you think Luke saying talent without training is nothing was directed towards those in charge of the sequel films?
Oh, God.
I don't think so.
No.
Nightmare asks, at some point, we will have to find out who smuggled Baby Yoda out of Coruscant. Do you think Grogu knows exactly who it was, or will they reveal that in a flashback?
Well, yeah. I mean, it'll be something eventually we'll get. But it could have been a number of people. We just don't know. We'll just have to wait till see how they portray that, right?
Right.
With that flashback. It'll be interesting to see who it was that got him out of there. What were the circumstances and all that stuff. So it's cool. It's something I can't wait to see how they take that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Question: how can Bo get the Darksaber from Mando without fighting him? Is there any way around it, or are they stuck fighting?
Not according to Bo-Katan.
No. So yeah, that's the interesting thing. Is like, I mean, and we were talking about this in the Discord before, and that the problem is that Sabine gave Bo-Katan the Darksaber, but then things said, yeah, but Sabine didn't win it in combat. Well, Bo-Katan didn't know that. It's not like Sabine said, I didn't win this in combat. I just had the Darksaber. He should have known she got the damn thing. So I don't know how they get around that, but the way Bo-Katan was reacting and stuff, they're going to have a fight. Now, it's not to the death, but she has to defeat him in combat. So that'll be an interesting dynamic to play out. Like how they're going to resolve that, because that's going to be kind of a big thing for the next part of this show.
Yeah. How did Gideon get the saber, you think?
That's how how did he get it from Bo-Katan, you know?
Yeah, that's going to be fun to learn that one. That's, little things that I want to know about. And I think they're going to go, we're going to hold a few things back, and we'll expose them at some point. We'll do a storyline around it. But for right now, we're just going to have that curiosity going, so people keep watching, and they can pick up little details along the way, and boom, we're going to hit them with this. So
one last question I want to ask you guys myself is, what do you guys think they want Grogu's blood for, and do you think that'll circle its way back around on the Mandalorian show itself?
I think it's to revive Emperor Palpatine, aka brings certain stuff with Snoke.
Okay.
Begins of the First Order.
It's got to be clone related.
One thing I want to mention real quick is the episode where they had to get the coordinates for Moff Gideon's ship. So they busted out Bill Burr's character, Mayfield, and then
so good.
And they went through that whole thing with the juggernauts, right? They're driving the tanks with the minerals in it or whatever, the nuclear, whatever the hell it is. And what was an interesting part of that scene was, you got to see the Empire side, and you actually saw the Empire like cheering, right? Like when the Juggernaut returned home and it avoided the pirates from getting blown up, right? And it was interesting to see. That was probably the first time you ever saw emotion from the from the Empire. Everybody cheering and everybody in the break room and just hanging out, right? Like, and everybody's respecting each other and saluting. And then it was interesting. And what I'm getting at is maybe they want to use the blood to make another set of troopers, right? That have no emotion, or they want to be able to control, have better control over their stormtrooper army that don't show emotion when the Juggernaut comes home and everybody's cheering, right? Because that's like weakness to them, right? So and maybe it's a preview to the First Order, stormtroopers, right? Where Finn kind of Finn had that emotion, right, in Episode 7, and it was weakness, and Phasma was kind of like, you got to report this, you got to do what we tell you to do, and this and that. You can't show emotion. So it was an interesting episode, and I think it kind of maybe showcases why they need that blood to recreate a more obedient army of stormtroopers.
Well, there was also a great scene too when they, in the beginning of Episode 8, where they take down the shuttle, right, and Cara and Mando go in there. In that conversation between the Imperial and Cara, right, where she's going after him for destroying Alderaan, it's like, and then he's going after her for killing when they blew up the Death Star. Like, do you know how many millions of people were on that station, you terrorists, when you did that? It was such a great conversation from both sides. The Empire you know, from that guy's point of view, the rebels were killed. You know, they were murderers. You know, they killed all those people, and on her, it's like, yeah, you killed all these a planet full of people. So it was interesting to see that conversation happen between those two. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I think the acting there from Bill Burr was fantastic.
Oh yeah, that scene with him in the cantina with that one Imperial officer, and they brought back Battlefront 2 with that Operation Cinder.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. They did that a couple times with the show. I was like, oh, with the game. Yep. And I was like, that's fantastic. Oh yeah, don't forget about those TPS reports they had to file.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also had, but I agree with Loki 100%. I think that was very cool that they kind of showed that side of the Empire where it was like, you know, it was the first time ever where like you like were happy to see the Empire show up to help. You know what I mean? Like it was like it was a weird like way to like, you know, like them showing up to like back up Mando and Bill Burr was like, wow, that's awesome. You know, but it's like, you know, typically you hate these guys, you know, so it's
in that moment
it was kind of cool. Nightmare says, on a scale of 1 to 10 elbow coughs, how do you rate The Mandalorian season 2? I rated 9 elbow coughs.
I give it a 9.5. It's not a perfect season because of episode 2 and a couple other things, but overall, I mean, as close to perfect as you can get. Not perfect, but it was still goddamn close.
I agree.
Close. I agree. 9.5 if we can do 0.5s. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I'll give it a 10, man. Screw it. You know, it's there. You know, I mean, we're really nitpicking. I mean, was episode 2 really that bad? I mean, it was just kind of weird, you know, but
I mean, we compared to the other ones.
It was a Grogu showcase, right? Like we needed one of those episodes, I think. So,
like, how many did you eat?
Right.
Like, oh, God.
Right. And no, I mean, it shows you know, Mando keeps changing, right? He's getting out of the bounty hunter. He's just becoming a good dude, you know, throughout the series. And it was, you know, he didn't have to transport the gal with the babies and all. I mean, it's kind of, you know, it was just showing his good side, I guess. And then, you know, he was negotiating with the rebels that showed up, and you know, he's really not open to that. He's always about running and you know, avoiding confrontation and all that stuff. And it was okay. It was an okay episode, but I still give the whole thing as a 10, man. I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's epic.
I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm almost positive that at some point, something with those rebels or that character that was having the babies, the frog lady, is going to come back around at some point again.
Lonnie always does some shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like some reason that he did that.
Well, the X-wing pilots, those are the Rangers, right? I mean, that's why they're doing this.
Pilots just on patrol.
Because I mean, Kara is a marshal, right? So I mean, the Ranger has to be.
It's going to be some kind of spec op unit or something that they're going to put together. I don't know for sure because it's something new in canon. We didn't have that in any of the books. Like
those X-wing. So the thing is we've never seen X-wing pilots like that either. That patrol, they kind of enforce the law. They go around asking questions. Like they never do that, right? Yeah, like X-wing pilots are basically grunts, right? Like hey, get in your ship and go shoot some planes down. But it's like these guys are on reconnaissance. These guys are like patrolling, right? So
yeah, but I don't think they're going to be the elite guys that they're talking about the show's going to be. But it is interesting. I mean, yeah, I mean they're kind of patrolling, and maybe that's what they've got their duties as is, you know, they're kind of like you know, cops in cars, right, that are patrolling the sector and stuff. And you know, they're in cars, but they pull you over, or they you know, they look at your identification, like kind of reminding me of police officers in that sense. So
yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, we could see them pop up one day and just be something as simple as like, oh, my brother Porkins fought in that war. Okay.
Pull up. Oh, I got it. Pull up. Wow.
You know, could be something as simple as that. You know, we'll see. All right, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, guys. What's going on with the RSG this week?
Well, it's gonna be a little bit lighter week. We're gonna do just like it's the holiday week, right? And it's gonna be a little. Finn's not gonna be streaming much at all, if any. I'll be doing the lunch streams. I'll be doing some streams here and there, mainly GAC, things of that nature. as much as I can. But it's Christmas time, right? And but I will get all my GACs in. I'm sure Loki, you're joining us tomorrow, I think, for your GAC.
Yeah, I mean, I'll join you. Actually, my GAC opponent was my guildmate this time around, so we rock paper scissors. Yeah, we rock paper scissors it. But I mean, I'll be there to help you doing the the battles on Grandes and yours. So
yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah,
and so we'll do that, and then we'll just have a typical lunch week. We won't have any streams on Friday. I don't know if I'm going to do the Jedi Academy this Saturday. I know we're not having D&D, so there'll be a few streams that are not going on.
Are we doing Wednesday? We're still doing Wednesday? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we'll still do Wednesday. But I don't think we're going to have Jedi Academy. It's going to be the day after Christmas and stuff. I don't think we're going to do that. So, because I know we're not doing D&D, so it'll be kind of a light weekend. Just enjoy the holiday weekends, because it's going to be the same way next weekend with the New Year's and stuff. So we'll figure it out. I'll let you know once I figure out my schedule and what's going on. So, but yeah, we'll definitely do the Wednesday night streams.
Awesome. And what about Boba's Alliance, Boba's podcast this week?
We'll have our roundtable tomorrow, and then we're not going to do anything else for the rest of the week.
Okay.
We're just going to take it easy and everybody enjoy the holidays. I'm trying to keep everybody from, any drama or anything like that, at least for this week.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a light week. And also, I don't know what the deal is with Maurice and T on Thursday, with it being Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they may do something, but if either way, just go check the Discord for Operation Metaverse to see if they're going live on Thursday night. A moment of silence for B. Masu's newly found freedom. Yeah, we should.
What's going on with the Span Lover?
I think B. Masu retired. Or is going to.
Stream?
What happened? It actually stream dropped for a second. I didn't stop.
Oh, there it goes. Okay.
Yeah, stream dropped for a second. Sorry, guys. Perfect timing. Yeah, just wrap it up there.
That's
well, I was asking, what happened to the Spam Lover?
So I think that Bimasu is hanging it up pretty soon, or is going to. I don't know exactly what's going on. I messaged him a few days ago, and I've seen that
he's retired. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff happening in the guild with some of the guild leaders. So I'm assuming that either he's retiring or going more casual. So right. I mean, as far as that goes, Bimasu has been a longtime player, great friend, good guy. He's contributed to the Alliance and to the to the guild.
We love Bimasu
for a long time. So hopefully he does well, and if he decides to come back at some point, he'll always be welcome. So
absolutely.
Hopefully he doesn't quit entirely. Maybe he just just kind of relaxes more, plays more casually. You never know. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a huge commitment to being active in a guild. Recently back then, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their week. May the force be with you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.